Now, here's the host of Good as Gold, Nick Grovich.
Hi, good afternoon. Dick Grovich is out of town right now on business. My name's Carl Ladas. I'll be filling in with him. And I have a good friend of American Federal here with us today, Cory Frampton. He's going to be joining us. You want to say hi, Cory?
Good afternoon to everybody.
Cory's formerly of Mexican Coin Company and recently changed their name to World Numismatics. He's made a little bit of a move and hopefully a better direction for him and his company, and we're going to be talking about that a little bit later. A couple of housekeeping items real quickly. We have a seminar coming up in the Palm Springs, Palm Desert area. It will be November 4th, Wednesday, from 1 to 4 p.m. at the JW Marriott in Palm Desert. If you're interested, please RSVP by calling 800-221-7694 or visit us at AmericanFederal.com and go to the Events tab. Again, if you have any questions, please feel free to call the office at 800-221-7694. Not much going on in the markets today. Gold, silver, platinum, all kind of just trading steadily. It's been kind of basically a flat line 2-year moving average. Gold peaked at about 1,300 about a little over a year ago, and down average trading is around 1,200 an ounce. We're actually a little bit lower today at 1114. Just a quick recap on the physical precious metals out there. Gold's readily available. Premiums are pretty much the same, with the exception of some of the smaller fractional items we can get for just slightly better price today, believe it or not, than we could a month ago. So. As always, we still believe that, well, not as always, but as of recently, we still believe we're near the bottom, and just really firmly believe it's a good time. If you're interested in getting into gold, this is a great time to do it. Silver, on the other hand, again, down around the 1454 mark. We've got a little bit of an issue with the physical silver out there right now, and that's availability. Back in July, as some of you might be aware of, we had a little dip in silver, and the U.S. Mint actually sold out of their allotment, or their projected sales. Actually, they actually sold a couple million more than they had projected in July, and that kind of backed things up. It put stress on the other types of silver products out there. And right now, your best bet for buying silver, most available, cheapest price, you're probably looking at the Australian Kangaroo 1 ounce silver bullion coin. There's nothing wrong with them. They are trading slightly higher than normal, but that's probably your best buy. I get a lot of calls about Silver Eagles, 90% silver. Availability. The problem is people that wanted to sell off have already sold off. We're not seeing much in the secondary market becoming available. Most of the production nowadays is going to fulfill orders from a week, weeks to months ago. So everything's a little backed up. Availability is an issue. What I look for in some of my customers when they ask me about 90% silver, for instance, I try to get them the best product at the cheapest price. Okay, I want them to have the smallest spread to overcome. I want them to start making money when silver starts to move up, or gold, or any other metals. I don't want them to have to wait for silver to go up $5 or $6 an ounce before they break even. I'd rather have it go up a couple of bucks and have them break even. So I'm shying away from selling any of the more expensive products out there like the Eagles, the 90% silver. On a side note, silver bars, non-existent. They're not selling any new silver bars the rest of the year. We're solely reliant upon what comes onto the secondary market. And just to clarify, the secondary market's when people like myself or my parents or my friends or, just regular, citizens out there sell their silver into the market. It becomes available in the secondary market. So when it comes to bars and stuff like that, we're solely reliant upon right now, actually, of the secondary market supplying that. And since most people that we're going to sell off have already sold off, we're not seeing a whole lot of large quantities come available. And therefore, what is available, guys can ask a lot of money for it and get. And right now, when it comes to silver, probably the Silver Kangaroos are your best bet. If you're interested, give our office a call and we can talk a little bit more in detail about that. Platinum, we still like platinum. We're working at just a little over $200 less than gold today. Gosh, Cory,
I don't remember how long it's been since it's had that big of a spread.
Yeah, the ratio's really down on it right now. Premiums on the Eagles, they're up, obviously, because of availability. Probably the highest platinum item you can buy right now are the Eagles. I'm selling mostly bars, the Pamp Swiss bars, and just about a week ago, Canadian maple leafs came available. So if you're interested in platinum, it's a great time to get in. We've got the biggest spread on the ratio right now. It's a great thing to get into. On a side note, at lunchtime, Cory and I were talking about rhodium. It's kind of a flyer out there. Not many people have even heard of it, but it's a catalyst. It comes out of the same ore as platinum, palladium, primarily used in diesel catalytic converters. Now here's a metal that peaked in 2007 at just over $10,000 an ounce. It's, what is it today? $760 an ounce right now. So not a whole lot of downside risk, I don't think.
You know, on a side note there, it's only been, a couple of years now that they've been producing rhodium in a form that's easily tradable in 1 ounce bars, small bars, and it's available more to the public now. There's more public interest in holding on to it as an alternative or diversifying their portfolio.
That's a great point, Cory. Up until a couple of years ago, matter of fact, it was Baird and Company that came out with a way to smelt it into bars that you can actually take physical delivery of without any penalty. Up until that point, it basically came in a sponge form. It was in a powdered form in a sealed plastic bottle, and if you took delivery of it, you pretty much lost, I think it was probably 20% of value right off the bat. If you cracked the vial, for some reason to look and see what it looked like, you just lost 50% of value. And, so that was kind of an item that not many people got into trading until just recently. I remember talking to one of our market makers back then, and he was mentioning, Jeff was mentioning that it's about $500 an ounce to smelt it or to turn it into a bar, to convert it into a bar. So nobody was doing it because it was so expensive. Well, Baird and Company out of England figured out a way to do it more efficiently, which has been great because now our clients can take physical delivery. They don't have to pay for storage, and like I said, it's a pretty neat little flyer. We're going to be coming up on a break here shortly, so we'll talk about it a little bit more after break. But if you're interested, give us a call. We just don't see a whole lot of downside risk with it right now at this point. But anyway, we will. They cut me off now. No, I got a couple more seconds here. Remember our office number, American Federal, 800-221-7694. Feel free to call and talk to Brian, Bob, myself, Don, or Nick. We're available here and there. Talk to you in a little bit.
Once again, here's Nick Grovich.
Hi, thank you. If you're just joining in, this is Carl Ladas. I'm filling in for Nick. He's out of town on business. I do have a good friend of ours here, Cory Frampton from World Numismatics. Cory, what's going on with the big change? You guys used to be Mexican Coin Company, changed the name. You got a new partner on board?
Here recently, we shifted. We were primarily Mexican, Latin American, both coins and currency, dealing especially in rarities and higher end material. Kent Pontario, who was kind of grew up with his dad as Pontario and Associates, an auction company out of San Diego, then with Stax Bowers. He is probably in the top few world coin numismatists in the U.S. and for that matter, most of the world. He's now a partner in the company. We've expanded into ancients and the rest of the world as well. I'm starting to learn a little bit about it as we go. It's a big topic. Kent's especially good at it. The market's it's really interesting.
Wonderful. Yeah, ancients. You bring up ancients. That's something, that's an area of the market I am not familiar with whatsoever. What have you learned about it?
I'm just starting to. We take a little different approach to it. People who collect ancients historically have been people that were not interested in high condition coins, and especially not coins that are particularly spectacular grade-wise. They never have been focused on that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. As a company, we are, and ancients are now starting to be coins that we put in holders. NGC has a full department just for that, and we've been out buying and selling the upper end of condition rarity in ancient coins. It's been a really interesting experience.
Wonderful. For those listeners that don't quite understand what an ancient coin is, would you mind explaining that?
So probably divide it into a couple of basic categories, and take Roman and Greek would account for a chunk of it. That's certainly not all of it. And they are coins that are found in hoards in all kinds of places, from England to all through Europe. They are coins that can come in uncirculated condition. The level of minting quality and the Greek and Roman material is just surprising. I'm just starting to get into it, but it's really an interesting area.
Yeah, it is. For those of you who haven't seen them, Google it. You can see some pictures of them. How did they mint those?
Those are all hand struck. Basically, you've got an anvil on the ground. You've got a die that sits on the anvil. You take and put a planchet or a slice off the end of a bar on top of the anvil, and you put the other die on top and smack it.
That's pretty interesting. Yeah, pretty neat. And it's amazing the detail in some of those older coins once you see them. And the thing that I find amazing is to hold a coin in your hand that's 1,000 years old.
2,000, more than 2,000, 2,500 years old.
It's just amazing that they're still around. Absolutely amazing. What's going on in your world with the collectors nowadays? How's the collector market for what you do?
Interestingly, there's a lot of similarities between the U.S. and the world coin areas in that excellent rarities, high quality are doing really well. Things that are mediocre, that are kind of in the middle of the road, are not. They're pretty static. They react to gold a lot like the St. Gaudens.
Yeah, just
20
like
does.
our market. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah,
and that could account for a big segment of the market, like high grade 8 reals, those sorts of things. They're commodities. We tend to vacillate between the bullion, which you do too, and the high-end rarities. I guess the biggest difference between our two markets is there is a lot less material in high-quality world, Mexican, Latin coins than there are in U.S.
Right. Well, we've got this huge pool of money out there. It's investor money that gets into our market. And do you see that? Do you see many investors getting involved?
The world market's still quite a bit different. It's not very investor driven. It is typically collectors. It's typically people who know more about the material. They aren't just in it for the money. They don't just buy things on impulse hoping it's going to go up in value. We tend to tell people, if you're interested in the topic and you find it historically interesting, you can treat high-end coins in Latin Mexican coinage as a good investment. But for people who aren't knowledgeable, to just step in and start talking to people that are calling on the phone, that sort of thing.
Just like our deal.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Nothing's changed in our world either. It's primarily we still believe in bullion. Obviously, that it hasn't done much in the last couple of years, but neither have the common date coins, the coin market. They just haven't done much either. Going forward, we're still recommending bullion coins over semi-numismatic coins, although some of the premiums are so low right now, they're kind of scratching my head sometimes going, that might not be a bad deal. But still, you get caught up in that liquidity issue. But, the higher end stuff, there's some people that want a mixture of the collectibles and the bullion, and it's not for everybody. I can't tell you how many guys I see that have spent $500,000 to $1 million, and Nick tells a story eloquently about the guy. He's got a client that spent over $1 million. It's worth about $400,000. It's all stuff that everybody else owns. Now, a guy with that kind of buying power, heck, put half of it in your normal run-of-the-mill gold, but he could go buy 2 or 3 spectacular coins out there that he has a shot at making money if this gold market stays flat for several more years.
And that's typical of the world market as well. We recommend to people to either get involved in it and learn enough about it that you're knowledgeable enough to know values, or find a dealer you can trust and buy rarities, buy condition rarities, buy things that are special in the marketplace. Those things tend to be much more liquid than mid-range Morgan dollars and MS-63 holders that you see promoted on TV. It just makes no sense.
Right. Well, you guys have a convention coming up here shortly, don't you?
We sure do. We have the U.S. Mexican Numismatic Association Convention in Scottsdale. It is at the Scottsdale Hilton. It is the 15th through the 17th of October. It's a little different than a coin show. It's more of a social event, collectors primarily, and there are educational seminars that go on there. We particularly are focused this year on counterfeit detection.
Wonderful.
And alteration of coinage. Jay Turner from NGC is coming out.
Oh, wow.
And he's going to be there speaking about the alterations that they see on coins coming in, and the public is welcome to attend.
Yeah, yeah.
By the way, if you're interested in that, our website is worldnumismatics.com. Our office number is 480-921-2562. We can give you more information on the convention. You can also get it on the organization's website at usmex.org.
Great, thanks, Cory. Speaking of counterfeits, that's been going on for a long time, hasn't it? I mean, I know in the U.S. market, we were seeing, they've been counterfeiting coins or altering dates and mint marks for the last 150 years.
It's been especially prominent here in the last 30 or 40 years, and the Chinese are really getting good at this. There was a level of counterfeit that was done in areas of Mexico where they were counterfeiting their own coinage, but it was really done to sell to tourists. I mean, it was never at a level that was sufficient to fool a collector. The material that's now coming out of China, both in Mexican counterfeits and other portions of the world and U.S., is getting scary.
Yeah, it is. It is. We had a we had a client he was in Greece. He was looking at making a substantial investment into silver pandas. This was about a year or so ago, and he sent us in a coin to get certified, and we were trying to deal with a guy in Greece. We're saying, why do it's just a silver bullion coin. You want us to go spend $20 to get it certified? And he said, well, I'm going to be buying a lot, and I'm not sure it's real. So we were looking at it, and it sure looked good to me. And Don started looking at it. Nick looked at it, and he goes, no, there's something wrong with it. Go get one out of the vault. So I go and get one. It was a different date, but same type of coin. And we were looking at it, and it was too good. It was better than the one struck in China at their mint. We were able to send it off and verify it, but they NGC certified. They body bagged it. Basically, they said no, it's not real, it's counterfeit. So we saved the guy a lot of money and understood where it was coming from. Our knee-jerk reaction was, why would you want to get this graded? But he had obviously better reasons than just finding than having a holder coin. What kind of coin shows are we coming up with here pretty shortly, other than the convention with actual shows?
Let's see, we've got Baltimore coming up for both world and U.S. coins in November, and then our favorites are in January, both the New York International Show and the Florida United Numismatics Show, which is in Tampa this year.
Oh, great. Hey, where are you getting, or how are you doing, still doing some auctioning stuff here and there, doing stuff at auctions? How's that working for you? Or are you just doing we at American Federal rarely do auctions. We've in our market, we can expose a coin to 5, 10, 15 different buyers and get them arguing over it rather than relying on two interested collectors in an audience. But it all really comes down to the type of coin as well, too.
That is really an interesting topic that you could spend a bunch of time on.
Perfect. We've got time.
We got time. We don't as a company put on auctions. We deal with several other companies that do. Coins in auctions there are coins that belong in auctions and there are coins that don't.
Right.
We do consign things to auction on occasion where we get high grade rarities, where we get top pop type coins, but only if there's a wide collector base. If you collect, for instance, Mexican two escudos, and you're into rarities where there might only be 5 collectors for that coin. If 3 of them have the coin and one guy doesn't show up at the auction, there's only one left. That might mean the difference between $5,000 and $15,000 in value. We think private treaty's better all the way around in those types of situations.
Great. Well, we're here, Carl Ladas here with Cory Frampton from World Numismatics. We're getting ready to go to a break. We'll be right back here shortly. We're going to talk a little bit more to Cory about what's going on in his world.
Once again, here's Nick Grovich.
Once again, here's Carl Ladas. Nick Grovich isn't here today. Thank you for joining us. I'm here with Cory Frampton of World Numismatics. He's got a lot going on on the front over there and in World Coins. Over the break, we were talking about, you mentioned the presses that the U.S. Mint...
We got started talking about counterfeits.
Counterfeiting,
and
that's
counterfeits
right.
being manufactured in China and how good they are. And typical of our government thinking these real clear thoughts, they put all of the mint equipment up for sale to the highest bidder. rather than destroying it. And lo and behold, the Chinese bought the mint equipment, hauled it off to China, and they aren't using it to manufacture Chinese coins.
Right. Wonderful. That's all we need. What kind of steps are the grading services taking, or if any, or what have you seen?
We aren't seeing anything yet that we can't detect. And then the grading services are staying right on top of it as well.
Right.
But for the buyers, the important thing to do is deal with a company that is capable of finding other types of problems. A classic one, I just saw this at Long Beach recently. A guy walks up, says, "Here, I want to sell you these MS-66 Mexican 50 peso gold pieces." I picked them up, looked at the coins. They're not MS-66s. They're 61s or thereabouts, just barely unk. I get to looking at the holders and realize the holders are counterfeited.
Oh, jeez.
And, we see a lot of this stuff. You guys see a lot of coins and holders. And interestingly, we're two PNG dealers in the small town of Carefree, Arizona. And we get to see a lot of things at these shows and stuff, and so you recognize this if you deal with it all the time.
Yeah, we had a pretty rare date Morgan dollar come through the doors. We were working on the deal over the phone, obviously. We had a client send the coin in and looked at it. The holder looked fine. The seller had actually supplied us with the PCGS number off the holder, the serial number. We ran the number. It came back legitimate. Everything looked fine until we got the coin. And we looked at the coin, and it was in a PCGS holder, but the coloring was just a little off on the label, and they're always changing their labels and coloring anyway, so we didn't think too much of it until we looked at the coin, and the coin was in too good of condition. It was supposed to be an AU58. It was probably an MS67 quality coin. Obviously a counterfeit coin, and we're in the wrong holder. So they had actually counterfeited the holder, counterfeited the coin, and pulled the real PCGS number off of their website for the label. So you got to be really careful. For those of you out there dealing in this sort of thing, or collecting, or even investing in it, you want to really make sure you're dealing with a knowledgeable dealer that's been around for a lot of years. There's a lot of dealers that pop up from these bigger companies. A lot of brokers work for big companies, and they branch off out on their own, and I'll be honest, a lot of them don't really know the coin market.
And this is moving quickly, too.
Yeah.
All these issues come up, and you have to be in contact. You
Yeah.
have to be out at the shows, attending conventions, talking to people that are our peers in other states that see these things happen, and we find out right away, and it circulates pretty quickly. But you got to be on top of it.
Yeah. And the thing that always amazed me was when you get to the knowledgeable dealers out there, the true dealers, how really small and how tight of a group it really is.
It's an extremely small community. Here in the U.S., as I mentioned, we're both members of the PNG. For the World Coin people, it's the IAPN. There's only 120 members in the world.
Wow. What does IAPM stand for?
International Association of Professional Numismatists. It's an invitation-only international group that includes all the countries of the world.
Oh, wow. So real similar to what PNG is for here in the United States. That's wonderful. Well, let's see. What else can we talk about? Oh, I better take care of another housekeeping item here. We've got our weekly quiz. What is it, Jen? Wednesdays? We figured, the close of gold. Spot gold price on Wednesday. If you can guess close to the price of spot gold, what it closes out, New York close. Closest guy gets a silver eagle. If you nail it right on, you get a $5 gold eagle. I'm dying to give away a $5 gold eagle or Nick. I mean, we've got the thing sitting in the safe. I think it's even slabbed. But this week's winner was Bill in Peoria. Congratulations, Bill. Give us a call at the office and talk to Jen. She'll make sure she gets you your silver eagle. Another quick thing, we're having a seminar. We just had a seminar a couple weeks ago. It went really well. A lot of good information. We saw a lot of our active clients there and a lot of new people too, so it was really good. We cover a lot of topics in the seminars. It's really informative. Our clientele, unlike you, Cory, you've got a lot of collectors you deal with, and I find myself, yes, we have collectors. True collectors, knowledgeable buyers, knowledgeable sellers. I mean, they're true collectors. But our main bread and butter is really primarily the guy that wanted to buy gold as a hedge, or the investor type money. And we're constantly educating from that aspect. I love talking to you about the collector standpoint. I just forgot what I was leading up to.
It is kind of interesting that the collectors of world coins, Mexican, Latin, my basic bread and butter, and we do paper money as well. They are more knowledgeable in general about the subject because to them it's a historically driven thing that they're really involved with, and because of that they're able to grade. Stepping back to this whole idea of falsified PCG, NGC holders, those sorts of things. For people who are more casual about this and only buy a few things and rarities, once again, those people aren't seeing enough material to know that it's not graded right in the holder,
right?
And have to be careful about who they're dealing with and representing them. If you spend more time at it and get to the point where you can grade well, it makes life a lot easier. But you just have to be careful if you're not going to.
Yeah. Tell you, in our industry right now, we've seen, not to change, I'm going to flip the subject around a little bit here, but Nick's talked about the trends in the market and how they change, and we've been telling people for years, don't get into the middle stuff, the common date stuff, either go bullion or go super rare, and where we're seeing a trend going, and the reason being is dealers can't keep selling the same products over and over. They can't keep selling St. Gaudens to their clientele they sold to 20 years ago. People have seen gold go up 300, 400%, and they're wondering why they're not making 300 or 400%. So, it's what people don't understand is for a dealer to develop, in my line of work where we're dealing with a lot of investor money, to develop those clients, it costs an awful lot of money in advertising. You've got to hire people to make calls. It's very laborious and very expensive to gain that clientele list. Now, if you're a dealer and you're selling 20 St. Gaudens for the last 20 years, you can't keep selling the same people the same stuff when it hasn't performed. And so a lot of them, the trend is changing. They're leaning more towards the modern coins, like we've talked before, the half-ounce gold eagles. We've talked about this ad nauseum. We talk about it in our seminars. One of the newest items I've seen out there today is it's been here in this past year was the U.S. Mint. A lot of these guys piggyback onto what the Mint's promoting, and they're promoting this new 2015 Liberty High Relief. It's the first $100 face value gold coin that the United States Mint's ever made. 50,000 mintage. They ran out of their supply real quick. They didn't mint 50,000, but they ran out of their supply really quick, and they stopped sales for a couple of weeks, and then they had them on back order, and they were on back order for about a month and a half. Well, I was getting calls that crazy. Hey, do you have any of these Liberties? Do you have any of these Liberties? From my clients, and I'm telling them, guys, where are you seeing this information? Well, there's these guys in Minnesota. There's all, these other dealers promoting them out there with their publications. They're asking $18,000, $19,000, $2,000 for one of these coins in the original mint box. They're asking $3,000 for an MS70 graded coin. And my response was, just wait. They're back ordered now. Just wait. You can even buy them. They're just back ordered. You're gonna have to wait 3 weeks. Well, since all that started happening, there was actually about 14 of those coins that got graded in proof-like 70. And there was actually bids for about 3 of them out there for about $6,000 each. That was last week. And I remember driving home from our seminar thinking to myself, geez, the poor guy that's going to spend probably $8,000, because if the dealer's paying $6,000, he's going to mark it up and probably make $7,000 or $8,000. He's going to mark it up to $7,000 or $8,000, and they're still making the coin.
I just don't get this. I don't understand why people get involved in this at all. They might as well go straight to bullion.
Yeah. You
were telling me at lunch about the barber material.
Yeah, you go. If you want to get into collectibles, get into something that's, here's what people forget. A collectible is not what the dealer tells you is a collectible. A collectible is what the collectors deem as a collectible. You need to have an active collector market looking for that coin.
And if you want to be safe, it needs to have scarcity and it needs to have quality. It needs to be up among the higher end of the population and be scarce.
Right.
Otherwise, it's a fad. I mean,
right.
It's tulips, the coins you just talked about, whatever it is, you might as well go buy bullion.
Right. So that's kind of what we see out there, folks. A lot of it. By the way, if you do want one of those coins, do not buy one that's ungraded from a dealer. Chances are it's already been sent off to the grading services and it was rejected. Go to the U.S. Mint. You can get them for $15.40 on sale right now. I'm not promoting the U.S. Mint, but save yourself some money if you really are a diehard and you're interested. On a side note, she's the most beautiful Liberty I've seen on a coin. Have you seen it?
I haven't seen it
She's
yet.
good looking. I don't know who they used as a model, but yeah, she's pretty hot. So, but anyway, we're getting ready to go to a break here. We're going to be coming up on our last segment, and if you have any questions, I forgot to tell you this earlier. If you have any questions, I know we're running short on time. Call the radio station 602-324-1510. You could ask Cory. You can ask me. Any questions you have, any interest in, we'd be more than happy to answer for you on the air. I'm supposed to keep talking. They're leaving me on. I'm a novice. What can I say? I know coins. I don't know radio.
Once again, here's Nick Grovich.
Hi, thank you for joining me. Carl Ladas here, filling in for Nick Grovich, and I've got my good friend Cory Frampton with us. Over the break, we were talking about what collectors used to collect years ago, 50s, 60s, 70s, versus what they're collecting today.
And it's similar, I think. The people that were collecting Mexican coins in the late 60s, they had albums, and they were trying to fill in date sets of different denominations of things. And it was the same here. You had your little album books for all the different denominations. Unfortunately, people weren't real grade conscious back then. And so we get people bring us albums today that were put together in the 60s and 70s that have XF coins in them.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it's worth the same thing today as it was then.
Yeah.
That stuff has not changed in value.
No, we see the same exact thing in our line of work. What I've noticed for us and what we do, we're seeing less collectors becoming, or less developing collectors out there, I should say. It's how does are you seeing new blood coming in, or are these primarily the same cast of characters, or how would you?
Interestingly, I think in just the last few years, we're seeing more and more young people getting involved. And I don't know whether that starts off with the state's quarters and then extends over into other areas. For us, we kind of view collecting in general as sort of a genetic disease that we all have. There's an element of the population that could care less about any of this. And another element that just finds it totally fascinating and loves to collect things, whether it's lunch boxes or coins.
I've got an affinity for craftsman tools and guns. I've gotten into some fishing gear too here and there, and I tried the wooden duck decoys, but they take up too much room. So
we've seen collections of locks, ancient locks. I know that a Ronald McDonald lunchbox with a thermos intact, Ronald McDonald, sheriff of Cactus County, is worth $200 today. I just learned that at Long Beach.
That's wonderful. Yeah. I think I'm hoping, because I love collecting, I love the coin market, and I'm hoping that this kind of will come around someday, and we might see some collector interest. The problem I think we're dealing with right now is this advent of technology and social media and all these things. We're very young into that sort of stuff, and I'm hoping someday that that'll kind of become like the microwave oven became after it was out for a few years. It was no big deal, and everybody had one, and and society's changed a lot too. The younger crowd just doesn't have the time, and they're into instant gratification. I've got 3 kids I'm going to talk about for a second. I've got 2 boys. I can't get them to coin collecting merit badge in Boy Scouts, for Pete's sake. So
we're encouraging younger people who have a little bit of money set aside to start and not try to buy volume. Go out and just buy some special things, and they don't have to be real expensive. Special things can be $500. It can be whatever it might be, and to accumulate 10 or 20 things that you just really like, and then decide if you want to go further with it or not. But just acquire some things that you really like, that are exceptional, that are high grade. Your barber material is another. I'm still shocked how cheap that is. I
was telling Cory that we've got a barber set in the office. I think it might be sold, but I think we can get more. We were talking about proof barbers, a classically collected coin, collected by collectors. There aren't enough of them out there for a big boiler room type dealer to promote, because nobody could ever get their hands on enough to cover the promotion expenses.
Which is exactly why you should buy them.
Right. Historically significant, just gorgeous coins. And I was talking to Nick in the office the other day. We've got this we have this set. I think we had it for sale for around $11,000. It's a dime, quarter, and half dollar NGC graded, proof 67. Older holders, 2 of them were almost certain will go Cameo,
That
which is
just
another
sounds
bonus.
cheap to me. That just
11 grand, and I actually have a gray sheet from 1989 at the peak of the market. If you look those coins up in there, they're almost $60,000 for all 3 of them.
that's
Yeah.
special material. That's
Yeah.
something that's worth setting aside, and it's gorgeous.
Yeah, absolutely gorgeous. But anyway, there's a place and a time, and there's some people. It seems that when we're starting to see more collector interest, more interest in collectibles, I should say, not necessarily from collectors, but it'd be more interesting collectibles from investors. They've been watching their metals stay flat for a few years.
It's a store of value.
Yeah.
If you can't get any return on your money at the bank,
Yeah.
you can buy Lamborghinis, you can buy art, you can buy coins.
Yeah.
They are all traditional stores of value. It's just staying with the best material and the most liquid material. That's the hard part.
And the best dealer.
There you go.
You need a reputable dealer to take care of you. Otherwise, you're fresh meat, I guess you could say. You got to be real careful, folks. Got to be real careful out there.
Now, speaking of being careful, but let me tout one more time our convention here coming up. If you're interested in attending and you're a U.S. collector, stop by on Friday, the 16th. We've got an educational seminar that starts at 10 o'clock that'll be really interesting, and it's about the counterfeits and alterations. It'll be put on by a couple of dealers, friends of mine, plus NGC. And it's a good little educational session in that, and everybody's welcome.
I think I'm going to go.
Good.
I'll poke my head in there and try not to embarrass myself. Just some more on our end. Just to remind everybody, we do have a seminar coming up in Palm Springs and Palm Desert. It's at the JW Marriott in Palm Desert. It's on November 4th. It's a Wednesday from 1 to 4 p.m. We try to keep our seminars kind of small. We like them around anywhere from 20 to 40 people if we can keep them that small. It's just a more intimate setting.
Makes
we get
sense.
more, more involvement from the audience that way. We're not relying upon, we're just not up there lecturing like in a lecture
More
hall.
like a round table discussion
Yeah,
than
absolutely.
a speech. That's great.
And to be honest with you, when that's why I'm encouraging you guys, if you're listeners, feel free to call in any time, because the other listening audience, whether it be on the radio, whether it be at the seminar, really benefits from questions being asked and answered. And it helps us out. It helps out everybody else. It just seems to be a really good way to communicate. We're very open, very laid back, easy to get along with. And, you've got at least one expert in the room right now when it comes to world coins. I don't know where I fall in, but I can help you out a little bit with the U.S. coins. But anyway, what else can we talk about here, my friend? Bill in Peoria, you won the Silver Eagle. Call Jen at 800-221-7694 to collect that. Tell me, is there anything else you can tell us about Kent Pontario? And he's a pretty amazing guy. I've only met him a couple times. As a matter of fact, the first time I met him, we had this in our office. We have a painting of a bunch of we didn't even know they were real coins until Kent. But it was just ancient coins, all overlapping one another. And Kent walks in and starts rattling off exactly what they are, and we're looking at each other like, "Oh, what? Really? Is this guy?"
Kent's been cataloging for auction companies since he was a kid.
Wow.
And recently took on the biggest Chinese collection that's ever been cataloged and sold. It was sold in China at a public auction put on by Stax Bowers. And he's now among the world experts in Asian and especially Chinese coins as well. And it's from sitting there day after day,
Wow.
cataloging rarities. It's a heck of an education.
Yeah.
We're really happy to have him as a partner. He's been a long-term friend of ours, and we're off into new areas of interest now, and it's great fun.
Wonderful. Good for you guys. I'm real happy for you.
For the small town of Carefree.
Yeah. It's a nice little town. What do we got, 2,000 people there in the summertime and 4,000 in the wintertime?
Maybe more.
Maybe more now. But, it's a good little town. We like it a lot. Thank the Lord we're coming up on 1 minute.
Are you running out?
No. This is the last. They said the last segment's the hardest, and they're right.
What other things are you seeing that you had come in that are interesting purchases? I love the barber deal. That's something I'd look at and think about myself.
Yeah, it's the barber deal's great. What else could we say? the thing that's really got me, well, it's boring to most people, but my biggest problem right now is finding metal to sell to people, especially platinum and silver, and it's a pain in the rear end. And again, it's what people don't understand. You could wait till silver goes to $12 an ounce, but that doesn't mean there's going to be any silver available for you to buy.
Plus, historically, this kind of a shortage in the physical market is indicative of a turn in the market.
Yeah, so that's what we're looking for. I want to thank everybody for joining in. If you have any questions, feel free to call the office at 800-221-7694. And I want to shout out a big thanks to Cory Frampton for joining me and helping me out on the radio.
And by the way, that convention is at the Scottsdale Hilton.
Thank you for joining us.